What is up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to our Lost in Space after show. Today we are going to be breaking down Season 2, Episode 9, Shell Game. From being stuck in pods to being stuck in trash chutes, the Robinsons are in some pretty sticky situations. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey! I love it. What's up, you guys?
Hello.
Welcome back to our Lost in Space after show. The end is near.
It is.
The end
close.
is nigh. I'm a little bit upset about it.
A little sad.
You guys, my name is Taylor Gates. I will be hosting this show, and I have a lovely co-panelist today.
Hello, it's your boy James Maple here with Taylor. I'm so excited for this.
Me too.
Yeah, we're coming to the end, like you said, and it's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad, but we have some really strong last episodes.
Yeah, we
so
do. Yeah.
Let's break it down.
Yeah.
What were your overall thoughts on this one?
Well, this one, I know we're coming to the end, so I was like trying to extra pay attention to everything that's going on to kind of savor those last little morsels of Lost in Space. Overall, I thought this episode was great. We got a lot of questions that were answered. A few more lingering ones that I feel like will be answered in the next and last episode, but I'm overall pretty happy with it. I digged it personally.
Me too. Yeah. Let's just break it down.
Yeah.
So we have Maureen and John in these pods still, as we recall the last episode. Maureen was in the little pod to shut the door so the ammonium didn't get in the spaceship, and it's not going super great for her because it never does it? Her power is getting pretty low, so she's kind of conserving fuel, and John has decided, okay, I'm just going to go back and then tow you back in. I'm obsessed with the fact that you can tow things in space.
Right? I feel like there was no discussion about like this atmosphere or anything. I'm like, yo, you just grab them and
you just tow them.
You just grab and go, I think, right?
It's just like when Dawn took the little like freezer out. I just think it's so funny. I love how it works like the exact same way as it would on Earth. Yeah. But I love that. And I love that we're seeing John and Maureen, like they were on the rocks last season and they are strong now.
They're so kindred. I love it. Every episode, I feel like they fall more and more in love.
I agree. And especially because we did have a little bit of like, I was a little bit nervous because John brought up the fact, or I guess Maureen brought up the fact about like, hey, now you know sort of what I did for Will, because John didn't previously know that. And she's like, what do you think about that? I feel like she was kind of baiting him, like, what? So what do you think about that choice? On that? And he was like, well, I mean, it kind of backfired, but it doesn't really matter what I think. And which I thought was great because he wasn't like angry at her, but like he wasn't like, oh yeah, it was fine, babe. Like, no worries. Like he was like, well, I mean, we've made our bed. This is what happens. We're sticking together no matter what.
Time to lay in it.
Exactly, but he does say that Judy now knows too.
Yeah.
Does that make you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit, because I feel like Judy to me was like she was like the pure one, but now she's been enlightened to like the misdeeds that her parents have done, but it didn't really give us a clear indication of her stance on it, but I would assume she's cool with it. Her family's still together.
Yeah, so I was a little bit worried because I'm like, oh, and I'm sure that doesn't feel good being Maureen, being like, oh, well, now my kid knows that I did this thing that was, obviously not legal, and then also almost kind of got us killed last episode because Hastings has these codes now.
A little bit.
So that's a yikes. Speaking of Hastings, he's still causing all kinds of trouble. He's trying to jam the codes so the Robinsons, we're lost to space and we couldn't save them, and he wants to accelerate the orbit so they're knocked off course. Why is this guy like this? Why do you think?
I don't know. This Hastings character, he's been popping up quite a bit recently.
Yeah.
And every time he pops up, it's never good. One thing I thought that was interesting about Hastings this episode was his discussion and like need to file down the fact of the narrative.
Yes, I loved that quote too.
Right? He kept being like, okay, if we're going to tell this story, we got to tell the story the way I want to tell it. Like, I feel like in this episode for I mean, granted, it's like a microcosm of things, but I feel like he was trying to play God. He was trying to like, okay, though this happened, let us tell this story because it sheds the best light. He's like, I think he said something to the effect of like, who will they talk about, or how will you be remembered, or something to that effect. I thought that was such an interesting point for him to put in the discussion in the logic of the show, because it was like, wow, you really are trying to change things. You're trying to like change the narrative. I thought that was pretty interesting.
He's definitely got a vendetta against his whole family.
Yeah.
And it eventually kind of does go his way. Like, they do speed this up, and John and Maureen are thrown off course, sending them even further to where they want to be. There's this, like, shiny, almost fish-looking silver transparent
I'm so glad you brought that up, because as I was watching that part of the episode, I was like, yeah. I love seeing the writers and the show creators adaptations of like different space creatures. So I think that was really cool, like, because I feel like we had seen like the fake wildebeest and the whatever. I thought that was a really beautiful, like, picturesque kind of thing to see.
Me too.
I liked it a lot.
I did too. I love seeing different creatures, because it's just like, it's never what you expect it to be. It's always kind of a little bit weird, but really, really neat at the same time.
I was into it. I may have gone back and watched that scene a couple times.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was like beautiful. Almost like an aquarium.
Yeah, I dig it.
We also see on the ship, Will is still begging the robot to take them to Alpha Centauri. Please, just help us out. But the robot's refusing. He wants to help Scarecrow. Penny's like, this robot is different. And I love how they come to the conclusion, like, yes, the robot is different, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
And Will's like, I'm also different, because we've both just grown up a lot.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they kind of put it to bed about, like, oh, it's so bad that he's different. He's making his own choices, whatever. No, it's like a growth thing. I
wholly agree. I think this episode really hit that point home. I know in the last episode, I think it was Penny who told Will that the robot was a little different. But I think this episode really hit home the fact that the different is not a bad thing.
Exactly.
It was the different, like you said a moment ago, it was different in growth. And I think that that's reflective of most of the characters, in particular the robot. Obviously, we're talking about him. But secondly, Will. I feel like he grew up a lot too. And it's cool to see like the robot and Will kind of grow together in a sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really eye-opening kind of exchange.
Absolutely. And I feel like, the robot has come in to save them so many times, and finally they kind of agree, like, okay, let's do what the robot's saying, like, let's take the Scarecrow to this planet so he can be healed. And I like how it's not always just like, oh, let's, robot can come to our rescue whenever it's convenient. Yeah, boop, 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 they're like, we'll help robot with this, and I really like that. I can tell it's like, okay, this is the right thing to do, even though the robot's telling us to do it, like, we're taking orders from this robot, but it is, at the end of the day, what's ethical and what's right.
Yeah.
Adler don't feel the same way.
Oh, he do not.
He gets over the speaker and says that Will is wanted. Smith is helping him out. Of course she is. But I did like the line, to catch a Robinson, you need to think like a Robinson. Because it's true, and she's the only one that knows how to think like them.
She absolutely is. And I thought that was such an interesting point for her to kind of probe. She's like, you want to get him? You want to get him? Turn to your old girl, Miss Dr. Smith, and your girl will tell you what they're going to do next.
Exactly.
So I thought that was really, I mean, as cool as Dr. Smith can be, she's pretty cool. She's evil, but she's pretty cool.
She is. She's fun to watch. Parker Posey makes her so fun to watch.
She does. But I thought that was really cool. I liked her, again, using her, like, psychological powers to manipulate the situation, and she offered insight that no one else on the entire ship had.
Yeah.
Proximity to the Robinsons.
It's so true. And it's so interesting because, the Robinsons are kind of hiding out in the trash chute, and then I don't even know what room, utility room, but
they've been spending a lot of time in that trash chute.
They really have. I would not want to share a room with them. Like, take a shower, okay? But it was so funny because she knows that other people and their safety is kind of their weakness, because they look out for each other. They're not just about them. Yeah. And so she's like, call Dawn, find the people who are their friends, and if you catch them, the kids will come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And so eventually they do pretty much just that. Penny decides, they basically decide they need to borrow a Jupiter in order to get Scarecrow to this other planet. And Penny's like, well, interesting, because my boy Vijay and his family has a Jupiter that maybe we can borrow. Unfortunately, Smith gets to him in the little lunchroom and basically threatens to kill his dad if he doesn't kind of stay away from the Robinsons. What did you think about that? Were you surprised? Because I feel like we talked last episode about, maybe she's turning over a new leaf. This is some old Dr. Smith stuff that she's pulling.
She really is. I mean, I, for one, am not shocked by her antics. She comes through with the entertainment for sure. I'll give her that. And we are so used to her doing these things that even last episode when we were like, okay, maybe she's, I was like,
I don't know about
that. Once a criminal, always a criminal.
It's true. I want to believe in second chances. And even John was like, well, you found my weakness.
Yeah.
Second chances.
I remember that. Yeah. And she blew it again.
Come on, man.
Come on, baby girl.
And unfortunately, Vijay's like, listen, this is not just me anymore. Like, this is my dad that I have to think about. And I think Penny feels bad because Penny has also been asking a lot of Vijay.
I had never even thought about that dynamic and that exchange between the two characters right there until he was like, yo, like, how many more times I got to put myself on the line for you? Like, I've said yes and yes and yes and yes. And I think that was his first, adult moment. He was like, look, it's not just, I think he says this, he's like, it's not just me anymore who could get hurt. Like, there are other people who are involved in the scenario or the plan that you want to put forth. And unfortunately, in this situation, I'm going to have to say no because it involves you hurting other people aside from me and it's people that I love, his parents, his dad.
Yeah, I thought that was so sad. And I felt bad that Penny felt so bad, too. You could tell she was
she
I have been crushed. A crappy friend lately, kind of. But luckily, they do find another way to kind of get what they need. They always have a backup plan. They can always think of something else. And so they do this shell game, which is obviously the name of the episode, which I thought was so smart and so cool, where they're driving the chariots around inside the ship, which was like, whoa, we are on some Fast and Furious level.
And they were like, oh, did the hallways get smaller? I'm like, nah, girl,
you're driving a chariot through the hallway.
What do you think is going on?
But I loved that scene too. And I like how it came because I think that Will drove the other chariot. I think we're to assume.
I think
because in the first episode of the season they teach him how to drive it. So I love how that came back.
Full circle.
I thought that was great. And so there's no security really at the Jupiter 2, which is what they're trying to get to, which is like their little ship, obviously, that they can fly away. Except for, unfortunately, Hastings and Adler are like, oh, well, they must be going to a ship of some sort, and they do end up sort of catching him and trapping him there, sadly. But they, Will and the robot kind of plead. They're like, we have to, fix Scarecrow. It's not right. Yeah. And I think the robot calls out to Adler by name, and that really touches him, which it would touch me too. He does not know very many words. If he knows my name. These
past couple episodes, the robot's vocabulary has expanded.
He's ready for those SATs.
I'm just saying, he could take mine.
Yeah, honestly. But I really liked that, and Adler kind of has a change of heart at the last minute, and it's like, all right, well, let's try to get Scarecrow here, and he and Will, hop on the little ship with Scarecrow. But unfortunately, Robot is left behind getting tased-ish. The robot,
he was getting tased, he was getting hazed, he was getting everything.
It was so sad to watch it. It was a real torture scene. I really felt that.
I felt those
Me
myself.
Too.
Yeah, it was rough.
I thought it was so sad. So that was so upsetting. But of course, the robot is sacrificing himself.
As he does.
Knows what friends are now. Very sweet. But I'm scared for him. But excited to see, what happens, because everyone is just very dispersed at the end of this episode.
There's a lot of, I feel like this episode, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of storylines that are kind of drawing to an end. So I was like, oh, okay, is that happening now? So yeah, I loved it though.
Me too.
Yeah, it's dope.
Let's get into our fun special segment.
Yeah.
We always do an MVP and space waste.
Mm-hmm.
James, who was your MVP and who was your space waste this episode?
My MVP, captain of the ship this week, is gotta be Adler.
Yeah, mine too.
Yay, look at us. Hey.
So in sync.
So I chose Adler this week because, he had that genuine change of heart in the last second. and he won me over. Like him deciding to really look out for the Scarecrow and the robot and like the greater good at large really solidified him to be captain MVP of this week for me. So
Agreed.
that's what I would choose. Yeah.
I would say if I had to choose someone else, obviously Robot, because he took he's sacrificing himself a lot for this.
He took a beating.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's wonderful.
What about your space waste this week?
My space waste has to be Smith. She's regressing.
Yeah, she is.
Homie, you've proven that you can be a good person, and you're back on Team Evil again.
Yeah. You know, for me, it's gonna sound crazy. My space waste this week, Vijay.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, like that's your. Well, I guess they're not boyfriend and girl. That's your girlfriend.
It's your girl.
Like, come on, be real. They were like, oh, we're just friends. You ain't friends. Come on, look out for your girl. Like, so I was really looking to Vijay to like I know he's like a kid, but like man up and be
man up.
Yeah, I mean
Vijay.
Man up. Put some
I
hair
know
on your
you're
chest,
15,
Vijay.
but
Come
let's
on,
go.
bro. You know what I mean? Put some hair on your chest, boy. So that's what I was looking for. You know, I have to. I gotta give you the space waste.
He didn't come through.
He didn't. Sorry, Vijay.
Maybe he'll redeem himself next episode. We'll see. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our penultimate episode of season 2.
Oh, no.
So excited to discuss the finale in just a little bit.
Yep.
But until then, where can everyone find you?
You can find your boy James Maple on Instagram and Twitter at Terrell James Maple. As always, holla at me. Holla back.
Awesome. You guys can find me on Twitter at alphabet_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_, and we will see you in just a little bit to discuss the finale. Bye.
Peace.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.